Hello everybody, my name's Fernand the Veggie Boy, and welcome back to another video. This one, I'm actually continuing my series with the Fazbear Frights book. This one being the most recent, and technically the last one. There's gonna be like another one, and actually a complete new series soon. But this is technically the last non-canon one, but I will still do a video on Felix the Shark, and a bit more that I will explain at the end of the video. But anyways, this is the stories and my thoughts and the rundowns of the 3 stories in Prankster. The most recent book. The 3 stories are Prankster, the Kids at Play, and Find Player 2. These were some of the most interesting stories yet. Let's get into the first one. The first one, as I said, is Prankster. This one is about the main character Jeremiah working with two other people, Parker and Hope, on a Freddy's game, a Freddy's VR game. And Parker, Jeremiah's coworker, is known very well for his pranks. It starts off fairly harmless. It's still a jerk thing to do, but still fairly harmless, with putting apple cider vinegar in his coffee. It's harmless, but still an asshole thing to do. But then he puts a hot chip mixed in with his tortilla chips, which could have a very bad effect on it, depending on the person. It could have ended badly if Jeremiah was one of those more sensitive people with spicy foods. But then, the next day, Hope and Parker said that they wanted to be in the game testing chamber for a little while. And Parker hears them giggling together and stuff like that, which leads into the next day, where where Jeremiah is going to work as normal, and it's his birthday. He's hoping that they didn't remember or something like that. He's just not really all too happy and all that. But when he gets there, nobody's there, but there is a cake there, and he basically has to end up going through this dark, twisted scavenger hunt sort of thing, where there's clues he has to go to different parts. And it starts off fairly, still gross and creepy, but still fairly explainable, with it being actual fingernails, not fingernail clippings, actual full-on fingernails in a jar that paper clips would be in. Then there were 7 fingers, one having Hope's ring on it, and some of them were missing the fingernails. You can sort of see where it's going. He just thinks it's all a prank and everything. He keeps saying, "Oh, it's just a prank. Oh, they just got this stuff from a medical supply place over nearby." But that's until, then he sees eyeballs in a jar, still explained by that, even though they were fairly obviously their eyes. But then it gets to a point where he ends up putting his arms in the entrails of, in basically the intestines of his friends. And they feel fresh, is what he says. It says that it feels fresh, just bleh. And then but after that, he ends up unlocking a box he ends up getting this present thing that ends up having Parker's peeled off face. with a bit of scalp and everything, and he knows that, okay, this is real. He thinks it's just all Parker doing a prank because he hears Parker's distorted voice throughout the whole thing. But he ends up finding out it's real, but as we go into the last place, it says, reluctantly, and then it literally just ends with him seeing a video of his friends saying, oh yeah, we had a lot planned and everything, even though Hope herself actually thought the hot chip was too far. And yet she goes along with all this. And then it ends with, him seeing like a whole bunch of knives and shit on the table, and he's like, and ends with Parker taking a pair of pliers, clamping them with his titular hee hee hee, and then it literally ends with the door of a supply closet slowly opening. That's literally how it ends. You don't know what was in the closet or anything. But it says, actually says, that Parker, come on out. Wait, let me find it. Okay, Parker, he yelled into the camera. He's ready. Give us a knock. Which actually makes me think it is still Parker, but a warped and twisted version controlled by Glitch Trap. Since, they're making a VR game and everything. It's pretty obvious that it's like if they were originally going to just do it with, props and stuff like that, getting stuff from the medical place. But then Glitch Trap, has corrupted them to make them do it with their own body parts. That's at least my guess on the story. Anyways, that was the first one. It was a really messed up story. And I read it while on a plane. That's why I was gone for a while. But, yeah, I read this while I'm flying on a plane. And I forgot that. The part where he has his hands in the intestines just ended up being too much, and I ended up having to stop reading it after that. But anyways, it's still like a really good story, really intense, and just has some really good setup and everything. And I just, all in all, really enjoyed it. Now let's go on to the next story. Story 2 is Kids at Play. And this one is actually made me realize that there is a pattern with some of these stories. But anyways, I'll get to that in a little bit. This one's about Joel, who has a decent life, but he doesn't very well connect with his parents, but he is trying to do better. He apologizes to his father for being late and such, and asks for another chance. He does, and he tries to do better. But one night when he was rushing home from a practice with his friends, he was like speeding down a road, and he ends up hitting a small kid. And the kid ends up flying into a ditch. Yeah. But he's not like fully sure whether to actually go get the kid to see if he's safe or not, or just to leave him there. But as he's constantly contemplating that, he ends up noticing that there's more and more of these kids at play signs popping up everywhere. Well, they're not really signs, they're like figures. There are these little people figures holding a little flag that says kids at play and all that. And, he ends up getting really freaked out, especially since it seems like one was following him through a hardware store. But then he ends up breaking a little figure of one that he ended up getting as a prize in cereal box to just sort of be like, yeah, I'm over you. I'm not going to be affected by you anymore. Take that. And then, in the middle of the night, he just suddenly wakes up with no control over his body. He gets up, gets all dressed and everything, and ends up like awkwardly walking down the road to the spot where the kid would be. And he slowly and very much so gruesomely turns into a Kids at Play figure. Like, literally saying, like, he felt not just one layer of skin, but all his layers of skin peel off, and he felt the wind sting his bare tissue, and how his eyeballs lay splatted on the ground, and how his like teeth slowly fell out. It's just like, such a freaky story. But as I was saying earlier, though, I realized there was a pattern with some of these. In Lonely Freddy, I technically count it as that there was a body swap, technically not like the other ones. And once again, technically not like the other ones was the Matt one where he ended up getting like pregnant with Spring Trap and all that, where he ended up, but it was like a slow progression where something big ends up happening with it, like something that affects them like as a human person. The other one that really clicked that with me was Gumdrop Angel, where the main character slowly turned in, and also Sea Bonnie's. With those two, the characters slowly turns into something else. Like in the Gumdrop Angel one, she slowly turns into candy and all that. And in Sea Bonnie's, he literally turns into a big swarm of sea bunnies, like his body becoming gelatinous and everything. You know, it's like all the stories very much so are similar in that aspect. But still, this is a really good story, and honestly one of my favorites of that sort of little mini genre, where the character would suddenly turn into something. I really enjoyed this one because it was like very much so gruesome, and it ends with the main character ends up with the kid being able to be found because he got turned into the sign, which is like freaky, yet is somewhat poetic justice. You know, so all in all, it was a pretty good story. I really enjoyed it. It was really fun, and with it being like a Kids at Play sign that was in this whole thing that was sponsored by Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and everything like that, in order for it to happen, and it was very interesting all in all. I really enjoyed the story. It was very interesting, very fun, and just all in all, a really good tale to read. Now for the third and final story, Find Player 2, which this one is definitely an interesting one. The main character, Amy, basically ditches her best friend as a kid in this sort of maze game where it's like this tunnel system and such that, you know, you crawl around into these cubicles to hide, and the other person has to find them. You know, she ditches her best friend at the time and ends up, and her best friend ends up missing for over 10 years, she has the guilt and, wanting closure on the situation. So she goes to find the guy who, seemingly kidnapped her at that time. And it turns out that the guy was really just a harmless father looking for his daughter, ended up being mistaken for a kidnapper, and ends up being put in jail for wrongfully. And it's just such a sad. That part was just so sad because you were like, oh wait, he really wasn't a bad person. He just looked creepy, and he was just mistaken for someone horrible. And how that story ends, and so she ends up basically going to where Freddy's technically was, since it was built over with, it was built over for a new restaurant. And the owner of that restaurant, not the owner, but she ends up going towards the back area where she finds the entrance to the maze game. And she ends up, searching through it to find, some sort of answer, find her friend or something. And she ends up finding the missing friendship bracelet that was missing for quite a while, even before she ditched her friend. But also in that same cubbyhole was her friend, now dead and basically mummified in the cubbyhole. And as she fully crawls in, the thing closes and seals shut, which also is one of the stupidest designs in a game that you could have, that is physical like that. Yeah, I get that they made it so that you shouldn't be able to get out of, the cubbyhole while you're hidden. But still, it's, so what if the game breaks or something while someone is in there, and just steals them in there? What basically ended up happening in the story. They shut down the game after she was declared missing. They closed the game when it was declared missing before the time ran out. This is what I assume, before the time ran out, and which would lead to things opening again and all that. So she was declared missing right before that, right before the time ended. And yeah, she ended up stuck and mummified there, basically. And yeah, the main character ends up crawling in there and gets stuck in with her best friend. And here's literally how that story ends. Because, her dead best friend couldn't be heard all those years. Here's literally the last paragraph. From the vent near the hallway leading to the restrooms, an ever so faint scream reached out into the dining room. Its echo lingered for a couple of seconds, but the sound was inconsequential. It didn't sound like it didn't stand a chance of being heard. Literally saying that she's stuck there forever, gonna meet the same fate as her dead best friend. A really great, but really messed up story. All three stories here were just fantastic. I really loved all three of them. They were all just such fun to read through. And despite with the first one grossing me out a bit too much while I'm playing, it was still a lot of fun. It was really good in the end. I enjoyed all three. It's the best book to end the series on, to be honest, but I really am hopeful for Felix the Shark. But anyways, let's get to the end credits, to the end part. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe, and all that. And especially comment what you think I should do a video on. I'll try and get to it as soon as I can. I have a few other videos in the works currently, but I definitely have videos I'm going to be making soon, but also I'm definitely open to suggestions. Definitely open to that. So yeah, there's actually going to be technically one more Fazbear Frights one, Felix the Shark, and after that, I will end up doing a full-on ranking of all the stories, which will be like new segments and everything. I will rank all the stories and do another video ranking the books. Because the stories themselves, like the whole book, like a story can ruin a book, in my opinion. Out of the 3 stories, one story can ruin the whole book. You know, one story can be very much so lackluster, and even though 1 or 2 other stories were pretty good, it very much so would drag it down. But also, there was an announcement for, well, not really an announcement even, I saw on Amazon, there was a new book that was going to be released that's based on Security Breach. It's going to be like a new Fazbear Frights series. The first book is called Lala's Game, and it looks so good. I am really hopeful that that one ends up being really good. And yeah, just like, comment, subscribe, all that. And I just really hope to see you in the next video. Which the next one is going to be an interesting one, since I've mostly done books and shows. This one is going to be a movie. Something that I've somewhat done, but not really. Let's see if I have it here. There it is. And this one is Courage the Cowardly Dog. Excuse me, means Courage the Cowardly Dog. Straight out of nowhere. That's going to be my next video with 1 to 2 other videos almost ready to go to be made and all that. I'll be making the next one pretty soon, but yeah, as I said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell in order to get notifications on an upcoming video. And yeah, just comment whatever you want me to see, like whatever you want me to go over next. I'll try to get to it. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.